I want you to close your eyes for a moment and really feel this. How many times have you ignored yourself? How many times have you put everyone else first, believing that your needs, your dreams, your feelings didn't matter? You've worked hard. You've given your time, your energy, your heart, and yet somehow you still feel invisible. You still feel unimportant, and maybe deep down you've started believing it that you're not enough, that you don't deserve your own love and respect. But let me tell you something right now, and I need you to feel it in your bones. That belief is a lie. You were born worthy. You were born with potential, with fire, with greatness, and you've been too busy living for others to remember it. Today, everything changes. Today, you stop giving your power away. Today, you focus. Today, you finally value yourself, not because someone else told you to, not because you earned it, but because it is your birthright. And the moment you take that first step, everything shifts. Your energy, your confidence, your life. So I ask you now, are you ready? Are you ready to stop living small? Are you ready to see yourself as the powerful, unstoppable human being you've always been? Because if you are, I promise, by the end of this talk, you will never see yourself the same way again. I want you to take a moment and think about how you've been living your life. Not how other people see you, not how the world expects you to show up, but how you see yourself. And I want to ask you something very simple. When was the last time you truly believed that you mattered? When was the last time you looked in the mirror and felt a deep, unshakable respect for the person staring back at you? I'm not talking about vanity. I'm not talking about pride. I'm talking about knowing in every cell of your body that you were born worthy, that your life has meaning, that your voice, your heart, your energy, everything about you is valuable. Too many of us have been trained to live small. We've been told that our dreams are too big, our emotions are too much, our ambitions are unrealistic. We've been taught to put everyone else first, to sacrifice, to please, to compromise. And somehow along the way, we've convinced ourselves that our worth is measured by what we do for others rather than by who we are. And that is a lie that keeps you trapped in a life far smaller than you are capable of living. Look around you. So many people are walking through life waiting for someone else to validate them. They wait for a compliment, a promotion, a relationship, or a chance. And while they wait, they shrink, they dim their light. They convince themselves that they are not enough, that they must earn love, respect, and success. But here's the truth. You don't need permission to value yourself. You don't need a certificate, a title, or someone else's approval to know that you are worthy. You were born worthy. You were born capable. And it's time to wake up and finally live like it. I want you to remember this. The moment you decide to value yourself, everything changes. It doesn't matter what has happened in your past. It doesn't matter what mistakes you've made. It doesn't matter how many times you've been overlooked or underestimated. Your past does not define your future. The only thing that defines it is the decision you make right now, the decision to stop living by someone else's standards, the decision to stop hiding behind fear, the decision to finally stand up and say, I am worthy of my own love, my own attention, my own respect. And I know it's not easy. I know that when you've spent years believing you are less than, when you face rejection, criticism, and disappointment, it can feel unnatural, even selfish, to put yourself first. But that is exactly why it is necessary. Valuing yourself is not selfish. It is not arrogant. It is a radical act of courage. It is the foundation upon which every other success, every other dream, every other fulfilled desire is built. Because if you cannot respect and honor yourself, if you cannot believe in your own worth, then the world will reflect that back to you. You will settle for less, you will tolerate less, and you will accept less than you deserve. So how do you start? You start by seeing yourself clearly, not through the lens of what you've been told you are, but through the lens of who you really are. You start by acknowledging your strengths, your talents, your passions, and yes, even your weaknesses, because they are part of your story, part of your growth. You start by forgiving yourself for every time you doubted, every time you played small, every time you gave away your power, and then you start taking action, not tomorrow, not when the timing feels perfect, but today. Today you decide to honor yourself, to show up fully, to make choices that reflect the value you know you hold deep inside. Every time you take that step, no matter how small, you send a message to yourself in the world, I am worth it. Every boundary you set, every time you speak your truth, every time you refuse to settle, you reinforce that truth. And slowly, day by day, something amazing happens. The world begins to meet you where you are. Opportunities appear, relationships improve, energy shifts. But it all starts with you with the decision to stop hiding, to stop apologizing, to stop shrinking. The world doesn't give you your worth, you claim it. And once you do, nothing can stop the momentum that comes from a life lived fully aware of its own value. So I want you to take that deep breath, look in the mirror, and commit to finally seeing yourself as you were always meant to be seen. Commit to valuing your time, your energy, your heart, and your potential. Commit to living each day with the awareness that you are not less than, you are not unimportant, and you are not meant to blend in. You are meant to stand tall. You are meant to shine. You are meant to live a life that honors your worth. And as you take that first step, remember this, your life will never be the same again. I want you to think about your life for a moment, not the life you dream of, but the life you are living right now. Take an honest look. Where is your attention going? What occupies your mind every day? Most people have their focus scattered in 1,000 directions, pulled by notifications, worries, comparisons, and distractions, and then they wonder why nothing ever changes. They wonder why they feel stuck. But here's the truth. It's not lack of talent. It's not bad luck. It's not even hard circumstances. It's focus. Where your attention goes, energy flows. Everything in your life responds to where you put your focus, whether you realize it or not. Think about it for a second. Every moment that you dwell on doubt, every second you replay failure, every minute you obsess over someone else's life, you are investing energy in things that do not serve you. And what do you get in return? Nothing. Nothing but anxiety, frustration, and stagnation. But the moment you take control of your focus, the moment you decide to direct your energy intentionally toward the things that matter most to you, everything changes. The world responds. Opportunities show up. Motivation ignites. Your life starts to move in the direction you want it to go. Now, focusing is not just about saying, I want this and hoping it happens. It's about conscious, deliberate attention. It's about deciding every day what is worth your energy and what is not. It's about ruthlessly cutting out the noise. That noise comes in many forms, social media scrolling, that leaves you comparing yourself to someone else's highlight reel, people who drain your energy with complaints and drama, negative thoughts that replay like a broken record in your mind. That noise is a thief. It steals your attention, your momentum, and ultimately your life. And the worst part is most of us hand it over willingly. But here's the moment where everything flips. When you decide that your focus is sacred, that your attention is a resource you will no longer waste, you gain power, undeniable power. Because focus is not just concentration, focus is energy and motion. It is what turns dreams into reality, ideas into results, and intentions into achievements. If you can master your focus, nothing external can stop you. You will become unstoppable. So how do you take back that focus? It starts with awareness. Notice where your mind goes, where your energy is being spent. Be brutally honest. Are you spending hours worrying about things you cannot control? Are you replaying the past, regretting what you cannot change? Are you putting your attention on people or situations that diminish you rather than elevate you? Awareness is the first step because you cannot control what you do not see. Once you have awareness, the next step is intention. Decide where you want your focus to go. What matters most to you? Is it your health, your growth, your relationships, your financial freedom, your purpose? Choose it consciously and then protect it like a treasure because that is exactly what it is. Set boundaries, create routines, and build habits that keep your focus aligned with your vision. Remember, you become what you think about consistently. Your mind is a magnet. Whatever you feed it, it grows. Feed it fear and doubt, and that is what multiplies. Feed it clarity, commitment, and purpose, and watch your life transform. And here's the part most people miss. Focus requires action. You cannot just think about what you want and hope it appears. Focus combined with action creates results. Every time you direct your attention and then move intentionally toward your goal, you build momentum. It compounds. Small steps taken consistently with unwavering attention turn into massive breakthroughs. And the best part, once you experience the power of focused energy, you will never want to go back to being scattered again. But there's a deeper layer here. Focus is also emotional. It's not just about what you think, it's about what you feel. When your emotions and attention align with your intentions, your energy becomes magnetic. You radiate confidence, clarity, and determination, and people, opportunities, and circumstances respond to that vibration. That is why some people seem to get lucky while others struggle. It's not luck, it's focused energy consistently applied. So I want you to ask yourself right now, where am I putting my energy? What am I paying attention to every day? Am I investing in what truly matters, or am I being pulled in directions that don't serve me? This is the moment of choice. This is the moment where your life can shift. You can decide today to stop scattering your energy, stop being distracted by things that do not matter, and start focusing on the things that will move your life forward. Because when you do, something extraordinary happens. You feel alive. You feel powerful, you feel unstoppable, and suddenly doors that once seemed closed start to open. Opportunities that seemed distant appear, and you realize that life was never about doing more. It was about focusing on the right things and giving your energy where it belongs. And once you claim your focus, there is no limit to what you can achieve. I want you to think about all the voices you hear every day, not just the voices in your head, but the ones outside as well. The opinions, the judgments, the expectations, the criticisms, the endless comparisons that fill your mind and your life. And I want you to be honest with yourself. How many of those voices actually belong to you? How many of them are reflections of someone else's fears, insecurities, or limitations? The truth is, most of the noise you hear is not your own. It's borrowed. It's borrowed from people who don't live your life, don't carry your dreams, and don't feel your pain. And yet, so often we let those voices shape our decisions, influence our confidence, and even dictate our worth. Imagine for a moment what would happen if you stopped listening to that noise, really stopped, not just ignoring it superficially, but cutting it off at its root. What if instead of letting the world's opinions control your mind, you learn to trust your own inner voice, your own wisdom, your own guidance? What if the first voice you listen to every morning, the one that set the tone for your day, was your own? That is not just possible, it is necessary. Because the louder the noise, the smaller you become. And the more you listen to it, the further you drift from the person you were born to be. Here's the reality: the world is not going to make it easy for you to value yourself. People will question your choices, dismiss your dreams, and project their fears onto you. Social media will show you what everyone else seems to have while carefully hiding their struggles. Critics will judge, doubters will whisper, And even well-meaning friends and family can unintentionally chip away at your confidence. All of that is noise. All of it is designed to distract you, to confuse you, and to keep you small. But you were never meant to live small. You were never meant to let the world determine your story. You were meant to rise above it. Cutting the noise begins with awareness. You have to recognize when your attention is being hijacked, when your mind is being pulled into chaos or comparison. That means noticing the moments when you feel anxious, doubtful, or overwhelmed, and asking yourself, whose voice am I listening to right now? Is this mine or is it borrowed? Awareness is power because you cannot change what you do not see. And once you see it, you can choose differently. You can choose to step back from the chatter, from the criticism, from the outside pressures that have kept you distracted and small for too long. Once you become aware, the next step is reclamation. You reclaim your voice by spending time in silence, by listening to your own thoughts, by journaling, reflecting, and connecting with what you truly feel and want. It is in those quiet moments when the external world is muted that your inner voice becomes clear. And when you listen to it consistently, you begin to trust yourself in ways you never have before. You begin to make decisions that align with your true purpose, not someone else's expectation. You start to act with authenticity, and suddenly, life starts to feel lighter, freer, and more purposeful. But here's the challenge: silence is not always comfortable. When you stop drowning yourself in noise, doubts, and distractions, you are forced to confront yourself. You are forced to face your fears, your insecurities, and the parts of yourself you have been avoiding. That is exactly why most people never do it. They would rather keep scrolling, keep comparing, keep listening to the world than confront the truth of who they are and what they are capable of. But courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to act despite it. And the courage to reclaim your voice is the courage to finally live your life on your own terms. You also have to protect your voice. This is where boundaries come in. Protecting your mental and emotional space is not selfish, it is essential. Say no to the distractions, the negative influences, and the people who drain your energy. Surround yourself with those who lift you, support you, and respect your journey. Limit the inputs that do not serve your purpose. Guard your focus, guard your peace, and guard the clarity of your inner voice. Every time you do, you reinforce the belief that your mind, your heart, and your dreams are sacred. And the rewards of reclaiming your inner voice are profound. When you learn to trust yourself, life becomes clearer. Decisions become easier. Confidence grows naturally, not because of external validation, but because of the certainty that comes from within. You start to attract opportunities that align with your vision. You start to build relationships that respect who you are. And most importantly, you begin to feel whole because you are finally living in alignment with your own truth, not someone else's narrative. So I want you to ask yourself right now, whose voice am I listening to today? Is it mine or is it borrowed? And if it's borrowed, are you willing to cut the noise? Are you willing to step back, reclaim your power, and finally trust yourself? Because the moment you do, everything changes. The moment you finally silence distractions, you hear your own voice rise clear and strong, and the life that has always been waiting for you begins to appear. And when that happens, there is no going back. I want you to ask yourself a simple but powerful question. What are you tolerating in your life right now that you don't have to? Think about it for a moment. How often do we settle? How often do we accept less than we deserve because it's comfortable, familiar, or because we've convinced ourselves that it's all we can have? And yet every time we settle, we send a message to ourselves and the world that our dreams, our happiness, our worth are negotiable. But they are not. Nothing in life of true value comes from compromise at the cost of your standards. Every area of your life is a reflection of the standards you set. Your relationships, your career, your health, your finances, your mindset. All of it mirrors the level of expectation you hold for yourself. If you are not satisfied with where you are, it is not the world that needs to change first. It is your standards. The moment you raise them, everything begins to shift. Because when you stop tolerating mediocrity, when you refuse to accept what doesn't honor your value, you create space for what you truly deserve. Now, raising your standards is not about arrogance. It's not about looking down on others or comparing yourself to someone else. It is about recognizing that you have a life to live, a purpose to fulfill, and a potential that is far greater than what you have been allowing. It's about refusing to let fear, comfort, or doubt dictate the terms of your life. Too often people settle because it is easier to live with what they know than to risk reaching for what they truly want. They stay in relationships that drain them, in jobs that frustrate them, in habits that harm them, simply because the thought of change feels scary. But comfort is the enemy of growth. Comfort is the cage that keeps you from becoming who you are meant to be. So what does it mean to raise your standards? It means choosing yourself. It means saying no to anything that diminishes your value, no to anything that does not align with your vision, and yes to the people, the habits, and the opportunities that elevate you. It means refusing to settle for a job that doesn't challenge you, a relationship that doesn't inspire you, a lifestyle that doesn't energize you. It means holding yourself accountable to the highest version of yourself, even when it is uncomfortable, even when it requires courage, even when it forces you to leave behind what is familiar. And here's something critical: raising your standards is not a one-time decision. It is a continuous practice. Every day you are faced with choices. Every day you are asked explicitly or implicitly to lower your expectations, to compromise, to accept less. Every day you can choose differently. You can choose to honor your worth. You can choose to demand excellence from yourself, to refuse mediocrity, to walk away from anything that does not serve your highest good. And every time you do, you reinforce the belief that you are worthy of more, that you are capable of more, that you are meant for more. It is not easy. Raising your standards often feels uncomfortable at first. It may mean standing alone. It may mean disappointing others. It may mean confronting the fear that you are not enough. But here's the truth. Every time you step into that discomfort, you grow. Every time you refuse to settle, you expand. Every time you honor your standards, you move closer to the life you were born to live. And eventually, the life that once seemed impossible becomes inevitable because you have aligned your choices, your energy, and your actions with the value you know you deserve. Let me be clear, raising your standards is not about perfection. It's not about never failing or never making mistakes. It's about refusing to accept a life that is below your potential. It's about setting a bar that challenges you to rise, to stretch, to expand, to evolve. And the moment you do, doors open, opportunities appear, people show up differently. Your world begins to match the new level of expectation you hold for yourself. You begin to see that what you thought was impossible was only impossible because you hadn't yet decided you were worth it. So I want you to ask yourself right now, where in my life am I settling? Where am I tolerating less than I deserve? And what would it feel like starting today to raise my standards, to refuse mediocrity, to demand excellence for myself, to say no to anything that doesn't honor my value? That is the decision that separates those who live extraordinary lives from those who drift through life hoping things will somehow improve. And here's the good news, it's a decision you can make right now in this moment, and nothing will ever be the same again. Because the moment you raise your standards, everything else rises to meet them. I want you to take a moment and think about the challenges you faced in your life. Not just the small inconveniences or setbacks, but the moments that tested you, that shook you to your core. How did you respond? Did you crumble under the pressure, or did you stand tall and find strength you didn't know you had? The truth is, life will never stop testing you. Storms will come. Doubts will creep in. People will try to shake your confidence. Circumstances will try to steal your joy, and even your own mind will sometimes question your worth. But here's the truth. What determines your life is not what happens to you, but how unshakable you become in the face of it. Being unshakable is not about being perfect. It's not about pretending that you never feel fear or doubt or pain. It's about building a certainty inside of you that no external circumstance can overturn. It's about having a foundation so strong, so rooted in your own value, that no failure, no criticism, no disappointment can pull you off balance. Because when you are unshakable, the world no longer dictates your emotions. Your self-worth is not contingent on someone else's opinion. Your confidence does not hinge on approval, and your energy is no longer drained by every setback. You become your own anchor, your own source of power, and that changes everything. Now, building inner certainty begins with keeping promises to yourself. Every time you commit to something and follow through, you are sending a powerful signal to your subconscious mind, I am reliable, I am capable, I am worthy. But most people break that chain. They promise themselves they'll exercise or invest in their growth or pursue their dreams, and then they skip, procrastinate, or give up at the first sign of difficulty. Every broken promise chips away at your self-trust. Every time you follow through, no matter how small the action, you are strengthening your foundation, building a sense of reliability and confidence that cannot be shaken. It also requires consistency, not occasional bursts of effort, but daily intentional actions that align with your values, your goals, and your standards. Consistency is what transforms fleeting motivation into unshakable strength. It's what turns discipline into freedom. It's what allows you to say, even in the face of fear, I have done this before, I can do it again. And I will not be moved by circumstances outside of me. Every morning that you show up for yourself, every time you honor your commitments, you are reinforcing your certainty. You are building a fortress inside that cannot be breached by doubt or criticism. Another critical element of being unshakable is self-awareness. You must know yourself deeply, your strengths, your weaknesses, your triggers, and your patterns. Awareness allows you to anticipate the storms and prepare for them. It allows you to recognize when your emotions are being hijacked by external factors, and it gives you the power to choose your response rather than reacting automatically. When you are aware, you are no longer a victim of circumstance. You become the master of your own state. You can navigate challenges, criticism, and uncertainty with calm clarity and confidence because you understand who you are and what you stand for. And here's the thing, inner certainty is amplified by resilience. Life will throw obstacles, setbacks, and failures at you, and the unshakable person does not avoid them, does not hide from them, and does not let them define them. Instead, they confront them, learn from them, and rise stronger every time. Resilience is not about avoiding pain. It is about mastering it, converting it into growth, into wisdom, into power. The more resilient you become, the more unshakable you are. Because no matter what life throws, you know that you have survived before, you have grown stronger before, and you will do it again. Being unshakable also means controlling your internal state. The world will never be perfectly aligned with your desires, but your emotional state is yours to command. You can choose clarity over confusion, confidence over fear, and courage over doubt. Every time you manage your inner state intentionally, you reinforce the certainty that your power does not come from circumstances, it comes from within. You become unstoppable because no external force has authority over your inner energy, your purpose, or your drive. And here's the most beautiful part. Once you become unshakable, everything in your life begins to respond differently. People notice your presence, your energy, your confidence. Opportunities that once seemed distant now align with your vision. Challenges that once intimidated you now become stepping stones. And most importantly, you experience freedom, the freedom to live according to your values, your dreams, and your potential without being tossed around by the opinions, criticisms, or unpredictabilities of the world. So I want you to ask yourself right now, where in my life am I still shaken by circumstance? Where do I still allow others or fear or doubt to dictate my state of mind? And what would it look like to become unshakable, to build a certainty inside me so strong that nothing can take it away? Because the moment you claim that power, the moment you become unshakable, you are no longer a passenger in your life. You are the driver. You are the force. You are unstoppable. And when that happens, nothing can hold you back. I want you to imagine what it would feel like to live every single day as if you already matter. Not someday, not when the timing is perfect, not when someone else finally recognizes your worth, but right now in this moment. To walk into your life with the awareness that your presence, your energy, your choices, your very being have value. Imagine waking up every morning with the certainty that you are not waiting for permission to be yourself, to dream, to act, to shine. That is the life I want you to step into. Too many of us are waiting. We wait for validation, for approval, for the world to tell us it's our turn. We wait for circumstances to be perfect, for people to understand, for opportunities to align just right. And while we wait, life passes us by. Moments slip through our fingers. Dreams that could have been realized are left unpursued. Happiness, fulfillment, and joy become deferred rewards that never fully arrive because we're caught in the trap of waiting. But the truth is, you do not need anyone's permission to live fully. You do not need perfect conditions, perfect timing, or perfect alignment. You are enough, and your life matters now. Living like you already matter starts with how you show up every day. It starts with the choices you make, the energy you bring, and the way you treat yourself and others. It's about acting with courage, even when fear is whispering in your ear. It's about speaking your truth, even when it feels risky. It's about honoring your time, your energy, and your priorities, refusing to let anyone or anything steal them. When you live this way, you stop reacting to the world and start creating it. You become the leader of your own life, the author of your own story, and the force that shapes your destiny. Living like you already matter also means showing up with purpose. Every decision, every action, every word is infused with intentionality. You begin to ask yourself, does this choice align with who I am and who I want to become? And you no longer settle for actions that contradict your values or compromise your integrity. You start to treat your life like the precious gift it is, and suddenly the way you move through the world changes. You act decisively, speak powerfully, and invest in what truly matters. The energy you bring to every interaction, every opportunity, and every challenge becomes a reflection of the certainty that your life has meaning. But living like you already matter is also about vulnerability. It's about allowing yourself to be seen fully and authentically. It's about removing the masks that you wear to protect yourself from judgment, criticism, or rejection. When you stop hiding, when you stop shrinking, when you allow your true self to be present in every room, you invite authenticity, connection, and abundance into your life. People respond to that energy. Opportunities respond. Your environment responds. And most importantly, you respond with courage, confidence, and clarity because you know your value is inherent, not conditional. This way of living also requires courage and action. You will face resistance. You will encounter doubt, skepticism, and even opposition. And there will be moments when you question yourself, when you feel small, when the old fears of not being enough try to creep back in. But here's the key: when you live as if you already matter, you do not allow external forces to dictate your energy, your confidence, or your decisions. You act anyway, you speak anyway, you pursue anyway, you step forward, knowing that your worth is not contingent on anyone else's recognition or approval. Living like you already matter transforms the way you experience life. You begin to notice opportunities that were invisible before. You see the people who align with your vision, and you attract relationships, experiences, and circumstances that reflect your value. You stop tolerating mediocrity excuses or distractions. You stop shrinking to fit someone else's expectations. You start showing up fully, boldly, and intentionally because you know the world needs what only you can give. Your confidence becomes magnetic, your energy contagious, and your influence undeniable. And here's the most powerful truth: the life you have always imagined is not out there somewhere waiting for permission. It exists right here, waiting for you to step into it, waiting for you to recognize that you are enough, that you already matter, and that everything you've ever wanted begins with how you show up today. Every choice you make, every action you take, every moment you spend doubting or shrinking is a moment you could have lived fully, a moment you could have claimed as yours. But from this moment forward, you have the power to change that. So I want you to ask yourself right now, what would I do differently if I truly believed I already mattered? How would I speak, act, and live if I refused to wait for anyone else's permission to be fully myself? The answers to those questions are your path forward. And when you finally decide to live this way, not someday, but today, everything shifts. Your energy, your relationships, your purpose, and your life begin to reflect the truth you've always known deep inside. You were born to matter, and the world is waiting for you to show up fully. And when you step into that life, there is no limit to what you can achieve.